Hello guys, welcome back to the Football Draft podcast. It's been a while since it's been Ross, Ben and myself in one episode, but we felt like there was no excuses today. A special turn of events, a very controversial turn of events has happened and has broke out over the last 24 hours, and we feel like we have to talk about this, and that is of course the new format of the Super League. Without further, let's get right into it. I want to hear you guys' opinions and we can share some of that with everyone. So, Ross, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me just start off by saying that it's a very sad day to not only be a Man United fan, but it's a very sad day to be a football fan. I think what's happened and these new changes are destroying football. It's destroying, not only is it destroying the future, but it has potential to destroy the past, the rich past that has been created by this amazing football club, and a rich history that, you know, could be up for grabs with these new changes. That is the main, that's bad enough. And I get that people, some people would say that, it's a new era of football and that we need to move with the times, but this is more than just moving with the times. This is corruption at the highest level. This is, and you heard the quote today from a source that sits on the board of a Big Six club. Sky wouldn't reveal who it was, saying that their main point of, now don't quote me on this, is not exact wording, but their main point of concern, their top priority was maximising a profit and their dividends and shares, and second was the good of the game. Like that at all, that's end of argument. Right. That's,
Ross, I'm just going to stop you there, because for some of those that are listening who might not know what this is about, the new Super League, Ben, would you like to perhaps explain what this is?
So it came out yesterday that this new Super League that I think they wanted to be planning for a number of years already, but they want to get basically a new European competition where they'll pull away 15 permanent members away from the Champions League and Europa League, pretty much. So there's already 12 members signed up, but once they get the 15 founding members, they'll be permanent. They can't be removed from that competition, they can't be relegated or whatever. And then there'll be 5 other teams that can qualify annually, so it'll make it a 20-team competition. And the format of that is that they'll split into 2 groups of 10, and then it'll just be like a league sort of way, and then the top 4 teams after the end of that will qualify for the knockout rounds, and then it'll just be similar to the Champions League, where it's just 8 teams left, knockout football to the winner, and then eventually there'll be a winner. And then the next year there'll be 5 new teams that could qualify, or they could review the 5 that were already in that from the first time, and they could re-invite them back in, or let them qualify again. So it's kind of like a new way of doing knockout football, European football, a new way to get a different trophy. But the whole point of this is that the teams that sign up for it, they kind of just lose their right to play in the Europa League and Champions League. So it has caused a lot of people to get really angry and frustrated, and they think that this can ruin football long term and even in the short term, because they want to start it they're wanting to start it this summer in August for the start of the new season. So it's
World Cup as well, Ben. The international prospects for young players going forward, it just destroys them. So
see, they say that you're gonna be banned from the World Cup. They're not gonna do that.
How do you know?
No, I don't think so.
What makes you say that?
It's a threat. It's a threat. Once it goes ahead, it will lose. No one's gonna watch the World Cup if all the stars aren't playing.
But did you not hear what Perez said? Apparently, he said that if they're gonna ban the players from the World Cup, they'll just create their own World Cup tournament.
Exactly. They'll, instead of having a UEFA, well, it's not called a UEFA World Cup. It's called a FIFA World Cup. They'll just have the fucking Perez World Cup.
But and let me just start things off then. And I want to hear more from you, James, and what you actually think of it. I think everyone from the opening 2 minutes of this podcast, people know how I feel about it. They can probably tell I'm fuming. So I just want to actually hear from you and why, what you think of it generally, and what do you think of these changes?
Look, I think that there's a pragmatic way of looking at it, okay? Now, there's also saying that you could also be banned from your domestic league if you join the 15 founding members, or the 12 that they currently have, I believe, will not be able, for example, Arsenal will not be able to play in the Premier League anymore. Now, that's all still to be confirmed. But I just want you to put yourself in the shoes of an Arsenal, a Manchester United. If someone came to you and said, hey, right, we've got this new league, we've got Barca signed up, we've got Real Madrid, Juventus, AC Milan, Inter Milan, Bayern Munich have all signed up. Two of the top teams from your own league have signed up for this, and they're getting a huge pay from this. If you don't sign up, we'll just approach a different team from your league and they'll sign up and take the money and go and join this league. What you'll have left if you don't sign up is play in the UEFA Champions League or Europa League against lower opposition sides. You'll earn much less money and you'll be in a league essentially without all the big teams you used to compete with. Do you accept?
I mean, I understand that argument, but it's not, it's the actual idea and theory of it that I disagree with fundamentally. It's not, it's not that I disagree with, because it's a thing, I think United should have gone, do you what, no, I'm not going to take that and stood in there. I can't say that, I'm not in their shoes. I get that, right? Okay, I get what you're saying. But I think fundamentally, it shows...
the idea, right?
Yeah, and what they're doing...
From Perez himself is what you're saying.
Yeah, and what they're doing is they're exploiting the goodness and the will of us as football fans to stay loyal to our football clubs, and upon doing that means more money for them. There's rumours of a new player for this Super League that'll be different to the Premier League if we're allowed to play domestically, and it screams more money for them. And you heard the quote I told you at the start. It's about money. That's always been the priority for those as board members. And I mean, this is not a new thing. We all know this has been cooking for the past 5 years anyway, at least. So it's corruption of the highest order, and it just shows the way the game's going. I hope and it's sensationalism, really, isn't it? It's the desire to see big clubs always playing big clubs. That's not what football's about. It's about struggle, and you always hear about can you stick it against Stoke on a wet Tuesday night, or raining Tuesday night. That's the beauty of football. It's playing the terrible games to get to the semi-finals, to play the big teams. It's taking the fundamental what we love about football out of the game, and it's destroying it.
The idea is stemmed from making money, but if they could find an idea where United are playing Sheffield United on a weekend that for some reason makes them more money than United playing at PSG, of course they'll do it. But here's the thing. Everyone, including the Premier League, the BT, Sky Sports, everyone is in it for the money. The reason why there's so much backlash from the Premier League, FA, and etc. against this idea is because essentially they can't take their own medicine. They're jealous that someone else has found an idea that is making them more money than they could ever think of. Remember when the first game back from the pandemic, I think it was Burnley against Sheffield United, where they wanted to charge each fan £14.99 to watch a bloody game?
Yeah, and Project Big Picture and things like that they've tried to do in the past. I don't agree with them either. I don't agree with those either. And Liverpool are trying to charge £77 for football games for people that were local to Anfield. I get all that, but I'm not advocating any of them. I'm fully. I get the people that are in for the money, and people see how much money there is in football. But I just feel the Florentino Perez and Glazers, they're trying to exploit the goodness of us as fans to go and follow our football clubs, to get more money from us, to exploit us more, and creating this new Super League off the back of it. That's the ultimate aim. Now, I get what you mean about the fact that there are, isn't everyone else in it for the money. But the difference with this is that it's trying to exploit us further, and it's I don't know. It's taken. I love the Champions League and I love the Europa League, and the European competitions is the ultimate prize. Like domestically is great as well, and the Premier League is the best league in the world. But I think that it's just sensationalism. It's just trying to get us to play against the big teams every week, and it's taken the pure joy from football. And it's like life. You need to suffer through the bad times to know what the good times mean and how good they actually are. If you're living a life with nothing but good, you'll get bored of it. What's exciting? Tell me what is exciting about playing PSG one week, or playing Real Madrid the next, and Barcelona the next, and Liverpool the next, and just keep going with big teams against big teams. Surely that, to me anyway, that doesn't excite me. That what excites me is knowing that there is a potential to play some of those teams, but it's not going to happen every year. That's why the likes of United against PSG 2-1, Rashford's penalty meant everything. That wouldn't mean half as much if that was a midweek game that you knew next week you were playing Real Madrid. It just takes the pure joy and fundamental fun out of football and turns it into a money making scheme that takes the joy out of football, takes the soul out of what we know as football, and is taking it in a completely different direction. It's all centered around money.
I don't think it's going to be as bad as that.
Why would it not be as bad as that? What am I saying that's wrong?
I don't know your knowledge of the NBA, but the NBA is like that, and people love the NBA. They play the same teams over and over again each season. They have the Eastern and Western Conference leagues, where so that's like essentially your Super League 10 teams and then the other 10 teams. So that's like your Eastern and Western, and then you have the playoffs where the top four go in and play knockouts.
But no harm to you, James. We're not the NBA. We're the Premier League, and no one else does it like us. That is the joy as well. It's individual. It's unique. And I heard someone in Sky today chatting about how members of the board and these American guys have no idea. They can't wrap their head around the relegation element of the Premier League and why teams get relegated. And and it may seem like a foreign concept to them, but that's the beauty of the Premier League, man. That's why we love it every year, and and we love to see people like Norwich there most recently getting promoted from the Championship back into the Premier League. It's the joy of football. They're trying to take it in a different direction that no one wants to see, and I saw today bots being created seemingly by this Super League to try and bump it up. No one is behind this. Ex-players, fans, no. So I don't see why we have to move in this direction. It's only the owners that are taking us in this direction, and all of us are fighting and screaming to keep it the way it is. And I don't see what's moral about that. I really don't.
The founders still get, all the teams in the Super League still get to play in their domestic leagues. Would that change your opinion?
No, not at all. Because what you're, I can't remember the journalist for the life of me. I should have picked up his name. But what he said is that, and what the Super League have said themselves is that if they are allowed to stay in the Premier League, that the Super League will be the priority. So that league games you'll be playing, your B teams and your against the what game's going to matter more, Real Madrid in midweek or West Brom at the weekend? Do you know what I mean? And it's the addition of both of them that just destroys what we love about football. And I just think with the likes of yourself, James, and I don't mean no offence and no harm to you, but Arsenal have been terrible this season, and I just think this Super League is a get out of jail free card, allowing them to play at a higher level when really teams like Leicester should be playing in your place, or even West Ham and bigger teams that deserve a Champions League spot. That's just being ripped from them, and again, that's just destroying what we know as football and turning it into something completely different. I see no. That's not
Ross.
To me,
Why would I be thinking
wrong.
that when Arsenal were en route to win the Europa League and get into the Champions League this year anyway?
Do you know what? No, not at all, because these are terrible. No, but anyway, that's a different discussion. But I know you get what I mean.
And I get what you mean, but that's not where I'm coming from. If this was 5 years ago where Arsenal qualified for the Champions League 20 years in a row, I would still be saying the same thing. I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be.
And why then? Are you happy with this decision? Are you happy with the Super League?
It's a mixture of, if I were in the owners of Arsenal's shoes,
Yeah, but you're not.
I'd
You're
accept
not.
the invitation to the league because you're like the not accepting it is so
But
much
James,
worse.
you're an Arsenal fan. You can only speak as an Arsenal fan. And as an Arsenal fan, I'm asking you, do you want the Super League to happen?
Look, if the Premier League could come up with an idea that would make them money as much as this, they'd do it as well. The only reason,
So why do you want this? Do you want these owners to have more money in their pocket through this new Super? Is that what you're on board with, or what exactly is intriguing about this Super League?
like, what is it? You get to see your team play against the biggest teams every week.
And I get the not sorry, and I know Ben was about to speak there, and I'll bring you in now. But the novelty of this will wear off in 2 years, max. It could wear off in a year or so. People are going to get sick of this. There's a reason why football has lasted as long as it has. It's because you don't play these teams every week. It's like they don't understand how English football works, and they're trying to turn it into American football.
I think you're over exaggerating what, like the lost or the the love for football is going to diminish simply because you're playing the same teams every week. I don't think that's the case. I think in 10 years' time we're gonna love football as much as we did now when Super League wasn't a thing.
I mean, there will be people who will like it from 10 years now. I guarantee you that'll not be me.
I think there'll be people who will literally stop watching football. I think that will happen, but I also think there will be people who have never watched football in their life start watching football. I think
it's just taking it in a different direction to, like, there's a certain element of change that's good. And that's like life, really. And I get that, and we need to move with the times. But see this element of this is far too drastic for what English football represents and for what we love about it. And I'm just baffled that you want this to happen. And I get the novelty of playing big teams every week, but that is not sustainable for years to come. That's not what football is about. You have to play the wee teams to know how monumental playing the big teams is. And sorry, on that note, just before you speak, James, Ben, what were you going to say there before I kind of interrupted you?
Yeah, I was just going to say, but the Super League, how it does kind of defeat the purpose of like the meaning of the big games. Like, the beauty of the big games is that you're playing against teams that you never ever normally play against, and it gives you a chance to see how you play against the best of the best. And then if you lose, then it could be a couple years or 3 years that you play them again, and say you compete again after that. And then in terms of this season, it gave the chance of teams like Leicester and West Ham to play against the likes of Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich. But now that, like, it's just been taken away from them. So it's like all this hard work and the time they've spent rebuilding their squad under Brendan Rodgers and David Moyes, like, all that work that they've done is like just been taken away from them, because their aim was to build them up to this level of team to qualify for European competitions, to play against the best of the best, and now they can't. They just can't anymore.
Ben, you're 100% right, man. And the likes of Arsenal, they're sitting in ninth place, get out of jail free pass to play these big teams when they haven't earned it. They haven't earned the right to play at this higher level, yet they've bought their way there, and that just shows the absolute corruption of these teams.
I'm not disregarding that.
You said you want it.
I do want it, but I'm not saying that it's perfect. Like, you look at there was rumors of Dortmund rejecting the proposal, and that essentially what will happen from that most likely is their best players, biggest players are maybe gonna like want to move to a team who are playing in the Super League. Like you said, Brendan Rodgers building a great squad at Leicester. A lot of those players might now want to leave because they'll get paid way higher wages for one. They'll and they want to be in the Super League because otherwise they'll be left in a domestic league where all the top 6 teams are gone, qualifying for UEFA competitions where they'll be playing teams that they've maybe not even heard of.
But does that not destroy one of the main things that I like in football anyway from a player is loyalty. Loyalty to a team that they could have loved from being a child, or they could have played for a long time in their career. But all of a sudden, when a new money-driven competition comes into play, all they care about is moving to another team to get that more money. Like for me, that just destroys.
There will be players that will stick with their team no matter if they're in the Super League or not, and that's admirable. But there inevitably will be players that move because of the higher wages. So I will posit the question to you both, and I'm particularly interested in what James thinks here. But do you not think this Super League creates more polarization in a life and in a time where we need more unity and we need people to come together more? Do you not think that it's really sad that the only thing we can come together on as fans is how much we hate this Super League, but how much polarisation there is between the top elite Super League teams and the teams that don't have the money to get there?
So what you're saying, the timing is wrong because we're coming out of a pandemic where everyone should be united together.
This would be wrong 5 years from now, mate. I'm not even talking about the pandemic. That is a separate issue. Timing wise, it's horrible, but I'm not even talking about that. 5 years from now, 5 years previous, it just creates more polarization when there is obviously a gap in that's why we're known as the Big Six. There is obviously a gap between the top 6 teams and the rest of the 14. I get that, but in a time where you need more unity with clubs, and the likes of Leicester there coming up and West Ham, who could be challenging to be known as part of the Big Six, this just cements the Big Six as the elite clubs of England, and the rest can go and fight between themselves. I just think it creates far more division in a time where we really need unity within clubs.
The perfect scenario would be, for me anyway, if the Super League carries on and teams can still play in their domestic leagues. I don't think it would be a case of like playing your A and B team in the Super League match and then playing your like C team and academy players in the domestic league. I don't think it would be like that.
Also, with the Super League, right, and with the fact that the teams participating in the Super League obviously won't play in the Champions League and Europa League, their league positions to them won't really matter anymore.
That's a very big issue, because even if they are allowed to play in their domestic leagues, let's say the top 6 finish in their respectively top 6 positions, what the fuck happens because they can't qualify for the Champions League?
Is the only thing Leeds and West Ham and Leicester have to fight for is to win the Premier League? Is that the only thing they have to fight for? Because obviously the Champions League, clearly if it, it might not go ahead without these teams. Does it go ahead? Does it not? What happens? What's?
I'll be honest here and also make a point and say that I could be well, according to you guys, I am completely deluded to think that Super League is a good thing. But a bit of me also kind of just wants a bit of change, to be honest.
Ben mentioned there, or maybe it was yourself, about the perfect scenario. The perfect scenario is the way things are. Like, I get that times we need to call for change, but what has been so wrong with this format? There hasn't been teams excluded, really, from fighting in Europe, and that haven't deserved to be there. This only goes to further emphasise that. So what actually, what are the benefits? Apart from playing big teams more, even though we'll all get sick and tired of that. Apart from that, what benefit? And obviously the financial side, having more money, to buy bigger players. And I don't know, man, this just feels like a really terrible game of manager mode on FIFA. Like, you can just buy whatever players you want. You get so much money. You can buy with your wee FIFA coins, like a cash out, or like someone's bought the club. Oh, we're going to invest 200 million in you. Spend whatever you want. This just seems like a massive real life game of that, where and so many millions has been given to these clubs. They can spend it whatever the way they want, and it just big corruption. Greed, and that is the most telling quote today about a member of the board saying that finance is number one and the good of the game is second. That I don't really think, James, and I know you're all for this Super League, but you can't argue with me that that's not morally wrong, really.
Even if all of this goes horribly wrong, or if it will, when it goes horribly, I'm here for, like, even if it goes horribly wrong, I want to see it. I want to see what... No.
For the purpose of the podcast, I've just put my head in my hands and I'm baffled by James' statement there.
I
Keep going, James. Go on. Keep digging that hole. Go on.
Like we're witnessing history right now.
It's terrible. Do you know what else was history? World War II. It was terrible.
I want to see how the clubs, how UEFA, how the FA, how all the institutions are gonna then come back together in like 3 years' time and work this out. Arsenal, United, Tottenham, Chelsea, Man City, Liverpool could all be playing in the 5th tier of English football in 3 years' time.
Why do you want to see that? Why do you want to see that? Do you want to see all your players leave Arsenal and you'll become an even worse team than you already are? Which, I mean, I don't really think is possible, but it could happen. Do you really... Look, James, seriously... And sorry, Ben, I'm interrupting you again. James, do you seriously want to see that? No, sorry, Ben. James, do you seriously want to see Arsenal relegated to the 5th tier of English football, do you?
Only chance you can get a trophy is when they win the leagues to come back up.
Yes, Ben. Love to see it. Come on, answer me, James. Do you want to see that?
The 5 teams out of the top 6 work their way back up to the 1st tier, and fucking Tottenham are like left in 5th tier football.
I mean, it's hardly going to be Tottenham, lad. But anyway, answer my question. Do you want to see Arsenal play in the 5th tier of English football? You're not answering my question. Do you want them to play in the 5th tier of English football?
I fucking want to see Arsenal in...
Well, then why are you for this English Super League?
Because I think something huge, good or bad, is going to come out of this. But at the very end of this, in 5 years' time, people are either going to come together and realise, okay, this is where we went wrong and this is how we're going to improve this. The Super League format was a bit dumb, but here's an alternative version, and here's what we learned from it. Maybe once every 2-3 years, we're going to have a Super League that's going to be conducted throughout the summer. Oh, so this is the best way to do it. Or maybe they then come to realise, okay, there's no point banning these players from the World Cup because it's not going to work. You can play in the World Cup, but then play in the UEFA Super League every 4 years, where all the teams are going to get reviewed and see who gets to get in. Something like that.
Yeah, but if you want a new format, they're already going to be doing that with the Champions League in 3 years' time. They're already looking at finding a new format to make it more exciting, more entertaining, and make it a better way.
Sorry to interrupt you, but Bruno Fernandes has come out and said something. He's the first active, well, in the Premier League anyway. Dreams can't be bought. That is the perfect quote for this. Dreams cannot be bought, and that is exactly what these corrupt owners are trying to do. They're trying to buy dreams and manufacture these magical moments to suit them and put more money in their pocket. And ultimately, James, you can't say that the Super League offers anything else but that. Corporate greed.
All the Super League is corporates trying to earn more money. That's all it is, but that's all everyone else has been doing. And the Super League, here, the guy, Fiorentino Perez, is it? Is that how you say his first name? Fiorentino Perez?
It is, yeah.
All that's happened here is he's found a way to make more money than anyone else could think of, and they're jealous of that.
But at least when the other, like UEFA, FIFA, whenever they try to do it, they shall try to do it with the sole purpose of the enjoyment of the game first. Like, they don't care. Like, of course, they want to make more money, and they've found a way with the Champions League, Europa League, stuff like that, where yes, they're going to make more money, but they're also going to make sure that the football comes first. The enjoyment of the game, the entertainment of the game, the excitement of the game, the love of the game comes first. But with the Super League, it's all money first, football second, and that just defeats the purpose of what it is.
Ben, you're 100% right. 100% right.
You can't tell Perez to go shove your idea up your ass. So he's proposing this idea. We're all, well, Ross and Ben are clearly saying that Perez shouldn't have come up with this idea in the first place because it's just money driven and ruins football. Okay, well, pragmatic view is he has come up with this idea. You have to put yourself in the shoes of your football club. Do you accept or not?
Listen, man, you've said that today on the pod. I get what you mean, but personally for me, I am not Ed Woodward. I am not the Glazers, and I cannot make a comment about what I would do in that situation because I get your point and I get the benefits. There's two main benefits: is the idea of elite football and the idea of more money. I get that, United have struggled with finances in recent years. We've spent a lot, not in the right places. And I get that. But ultimately, I really think that money is the ultimate convincer here. And it's that greed to have more money that's tearing the soul out of football. And no matter whether you will accept it in that position or not, ultimately, if you, James, were your fella for Arsenal, I can't remember his name, if you were him, I wouldn't like you either. And and to me, if I was Ed Woodward and I made that decision.
Yeah, but Ross, you're fuming. You so-called said you're fuming. You're pissed off at this thing.
Yeah.
Who are you pissed off at? Who are you pissed off about?
The owners for their corporate greed.
The owners of the football club, or the owners of the upcoming Super League.
Both. They are both. I mean, Joel Glazer is the owner of Man United, and he's also co-chairman of the European Super League.
Why are you pissed off at your owners? Because would you do anything different? Would you decline?
I mean, I would like to think so. I would like to think that ultimately hold on, James. I would like to think that it would be the good of the game first, and then thinking about finances second, and that's ultimately not where their head's at. So really, asking me that question, if I had that mindset with the good of the game and finances second, which I would like to think I have if I were lucky enough to be an owner of a football club, I would say no. Because they know the repercussions of their decision here today. They know what influence this is going to have, and they know how fans feel about it. So, to me, really, me looking at that, and obviously I have no experience in that. I'm not, but that would be my answer, really. And
see, we're saying it's because these clubs are owned by a bunch of rich corporates. I think if you put a football fan in charge of these clubs, the result would still be the same. Because if Perez approached you saying that we've got Barca, Madrid, Inter, AC, Bayern Munich, Juventus, Liverpool, Man City, all signed up for the Super League. Here, Mr. Manchester United, do you accept?
But the core difference though was Man United and Arsenal were the two first clubs in it.
Because Stan Kroenke was Perez's right hand man in this.
Do you know? So that argument of being presented as like all other clubs as a convincer, we've got all these other ones, why don't you join as well? And really you've no other choice because you'll not be facing them in other competitions and you'll be excluded from this. That's not a convincer really, because Man United seem to be like, oh yeah, money making, love it, and they signed up. So you could maybe argue that with I don't know who was the last to sign up there. Schalke, I believe, is a recently new one. But I just think it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that we're being forced into this position where money comes first and the good of the game comes second.
We're acting as if UEFA has been acting all ethical in the past decades.
Oh man, I'm not saying that. Oh god, no. I'm not saying that, they've always been ethical. But what I'm saying is this takes the cake. This is the crown topper on UEFA's decisions. This is the crown topper on corporate greed, and I'm not saying none of this has not happened in the past, but I just think that it's a real pity that we're moving into somewhere now it's more drastic change off the back of corporate greed, and the rich get richer. That's all I'm saying. I really hate it, and I got a bit emotional about it last night, thinking about how much is going to change the way we all view football, and how much is going to change my love of the club. Arguably, I wouldn't be disappointed if Ollie walked out right now. I wouldn't encourage it, but because I want to still support my club because I love them. But ultimately, if Ollie walked away, I'd fully back him. That's where I stand on it, and obviously same for Jurgen Klopp or any other manager that might do the same. That's where we are.
Do you think there's a reason behind why not much care was gone into Tottenham or Liverpool and Arsenal's poor seasons, because they knew that this was coming all along anyway? I think it's got to have a factor in it.
Yeah, but they're also against it, so surely they wouldn't care about that. Every single manager and every single player so far has come out and said that it's completely wrong. So even if they knew about it, the players wouldn't care about, no matter where we finish, we're going to get in this competition anyway. They would want to finish as high as we want because they don't want to be in that competition at the end of the day, the players themselves. So I don't know. It just defeats the whole purpose of fans. This is what it's happened. Like they've not thought about the fans or about any supporters from any club, or even the coaches and the players of any club. They've just thought about this new format that it could work. I mean, it probably will work.
It's not perfect, but I think there will be something similar to come out of this if it goes wrong anyway.
I just don't see why we need this experimentation. I don't see why now. And I mentioned earlier, and I wanted to talk about it, especially the timing of COVID and people losing their jobs, and so much financial hardship, that suddenly we're moving into something now that's all about those who are rich getting richer and taking away a thing that all of us have left. With COVID tearing away our ability to actually be there in stadiums and to witness the game live. That idea of taking that soul further out of the game is just awful. I think it was Carragher in his Jimmy Carragher in his article in the Telegraph was saying about the John Henry and their owners seem to want their stadium to stay empty because that's exactly what they're doing. They're allowing Liverpool fans to walk away from this new change in football. There was black and white signs outside Anfield today saying that we LFC fans, we strongly oppose.
I know Jurgen Klopp himself is against this. He said it openly.
Exactly. So and that's just me. Ultimately, James, I see exactly where you're coming from. I see exactly why it would be intriguing to accept this offer, but I don't agree that you can just come back from this and go back into the Premier League if this doesn't work. That's another problem I have with your argument, that this is, to me, feels like irreversible damage to the Premier League's relationship with its clubs.
I'm in agreement with the Super League in a more pragmatic view than me saying I think this is a fantastic idea. Like, I'm saying that if I were in the shoes of these clubs, you'd be stupid to not accept because you'd literally be left in the dust.
But it seems to all be trial and error, but with the consequences that could come from if it fails, and it probably will fail at the end of the day. Like, the damage to all these clubs is going to be huge to the point where it's like it wasn't even worth it. Like, it's stupid to try to say trial and error, but to make all these clubs commit 100% in, where they'll no longer be in the UEFA competitions. I just think it's stupid. I think they're just jumping into this far too quickly without having a solid plan and actually knowing whether it would work or not. They're just thinking, we'll get the money regardless of if it fails or not.
The thing on that is, I'm disappointed in how they have come to the conclusion that this is the best way to do it, because there have been talks. I remember watching an interview by Arsene Wenger himself in 2009 saying that there will be a Super League coming in the next 10 years. So this has been in the plans for a decade now. I'm disappointed that this is their final product. I thought it would be a bit more perfected than this and be a bit less controversial.
So what would you recommend then, James? What would be your finished product?
I don't know, mate. If I had an idea, I'd be Paris himself. But I do think I do think something like this would be good. Yeah.
So, but that's not what we were talking about. You have said on this podcast now that you are for the Super League. Would it not be fair to say that you are for the idea of a Super League, just not this one?
Correct. But I am also for the Super League in a pragmatic view as well.
But when you said before about being for this Super League, did you mean that or did you not?
I did. But for this one, it's in a more pragmatic view and me having to put myself in the shoes.
But explain that. What do you mean by in this one in a more pragmatic view? What do you mean?
You have to accept, if Paris came to you and said these teams have signed up and you're going to get $500 million fucking dollars to join, if you don't accept your Champions League, your Europa League competitions are pointless because all the big teams have already signed up. And your domestic league is also fucked because the top 6 teams have signed up. What are you going to do? Oh, and by the way, here's your $500 million signing on bonus.
I mean, it's just all very greedy. It's all about money. And I mean, listen, I would never rule out that I would never, ever get on board with the idea of a Super League. I would never rule that out. But I am just such a traditional football fan, and maybe that's my downfall. Maybe that's where, but there's, that idea of keeping things the way they are, I don't see the need for this immediate change. And as Ben rightly said, how we seem to just be jumping right down at the deep end. This isn't a phased thing. This is not, they're going to trial and test it and see. They haven't said that this, starting in August is going to be on a trial basis to see how it goes.
It's the real
none of that.
thing.
It's the real thing. It's we're just okay, right? We're starting this European Super League now. Ockies are getting 500 million. You're going to face
no more FA Cup, no more Carabao Cup, no more Champions League, no more Europa League, no more Premier League.
Fuck no, we didn't need that anyway. No, shit's grand. And that's where we are. It's just an absolute shambles. It spits in the face of football fans.
In that aspect, I'm like, they've handled this so poorly.
Yeah, and I really like. Do you, James? Do you really see the need for this change? Like, what is it about right now that you think, oh yeah, we needed a Super League where all the big teams face each other and you get more money? Do you genuinely see the need for this right now in the midst of a global pandemic?
The timing is awful. The timing.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, regardless, like, timing is awful because of this year. And the timing is awful because on a week-by-week basis as well, because the Europa League is still running, the Champions League is still running, the domestic league is still running.
That's another thing. United are so close to their first trophy in what it'll be 4 years, and there's a potential now for a Roma versus Villarreal final. Like, give me a break. Or PSG could be crowned Champions League winners by default.
Like, how can you announce this knowing that you could... Like, they know that UEFA's standpoint on this when they announced it. They knew that they were going to get banned before they announced it.
Of course they did. They expected the backlash because they want it. Because they want to create controversy and they want more money in their pockets because they're all greedy.
Why before the season ends, though? Why before...
Because they wanted to start in the summer. Clearly, they want to get a head start on this to get all the summer viewers, people before they get back to work. I know
what it is. The Super League clearly had a disagreement with all the other institutions like UEFA, and basically said, you know what, fuck you. We're going to end your competition early. There's not going to be any winners for you this season, and we're going to go fuck off to the Super League.
Yeah, well, I mean that's a fair enough argument, but. Like, and you saying all this now, and this is the first time we've actually had a reasonable, like, we actually agree on this podcast, so that's very good. But with all that in mind, do you still believe that the Super League and what this is the best thing for football right now? Do you think this is football moving in a good direction? Do you think this is? Are we progress? Is football getting better? Is this going to be good for young football fans coming up and watching football for the first time? Is this the best thing for football? I don't
think it's as bad as people make it out to be. Like,
I know, but do you think it's the best thing for football?
But I am for the Super League.
Okay,
I am for the Super League.
So why are you for it if you don't believe that it's the best thing for football?
I'm not for the final product and the idea itself.
But you said that you were for the Super League. I asked you that and you said yeah. So if you're for the Super League, why do you not think it's the best thing for football?
I think it's the best thing that the top 6 clubs had on offer. I think you'd be ridiculous to reject the Super League if they proposed that to you. You'd be off your complete head.
But surely,
I mean, yes. In an ideal world, you can be like, you know what, Paris, up yours. Go away for 5 years and perfect your Super League, then come back to me. But in a world of free speech, you can't tell Paris to shove his idea up his ass.
Yeah, but despite all that, man, I just think that you thinking that this is the best? Are you thinking that
I
you're
am
for the Super League?
I am for a Super
This
League,
format?
but I think right now it's very raw, and I can't believe that they released it at this time.
Yeah, but do you think it's the idea of a Super League in general is the word? Do you think like an improved Super League? Do you think that's the best thing for football? Why?
Because it's entertainment. I mean, that's what we're here for.
Are you not currently entertained with the way football is right now?
Are you not entertained?
Exactly, Gladiator. No, but seriously, like, are you in the words of Russell Crowe, like, are you not entertained by football at the minute? Like, well, no, like, take Arsenal out of it because they're not entertaining to watch. But you know, are you not entertained by football in general right now, so that you feel like a Super League in the future, and obviously now starting this summer? Do you think that's do you think that'll be more entertaining and will subsequently be better for football? I think
some form of Super League will enhance my entertainment on football. Yes, I do.
Yeah, but I ain't backing it. I will never back a UEFA Super League organised by this group of individuals that they certainly have. I don't think they should have the authority to set up a competition like this, pull away these clubs from the UEFA competitions. I just don't. I can't get my head around how they have the power to do that.
On that note, you know, like, are you not? Is the European competitions that we have not entertaining enough? So what are the main factors for you really that is what improves for you for this Super League? Do you believe that the increased finance will help clubs first and foremost?
No, it's not even the It's not enough. It's got nothing to do with the fact that now Arsenal can maybe sign the likes of Haaland and Mbappe. It's got nothing to do with that. I genuinely think a Super League will be an entertainment. I don't think it would be a good thing on a on a yearly basis. I think that will ruin the whole thing. Like you said, you've got to have like the downs to like enjoy the positive side. Like if you had a World Cup every year, imagine that. Like the World Cup wouldn't mean shit.
But the only reason why people are looking at the Super League and thinking, oh, that'll be great, PSG one week and then Real Madrid the next, it's because it's a novelty, because we don't have it now. But in 3 years, when we've had 3 years of this Super League, you will look at PSG as, oh, we're facing PSG this week. Oh, God, I can't wait for Liverpool, because obviously Liverpool will always be a good game. You know, but that type of game will be what we look forward to. You know, we'll look at PSG like they're West Brom.
People don't get bored of watching LeBron James against James Harden every year in the NBA. When
they meet however many times a year they do, you know, it's not, you know, it's not more than, I don't know how many times I don't really watch it, but do you know what I mean? Like, that idea of constantly facing teams far more than we do takes the novelty out of facing them, you know, occasionally. I mean, you know, with this new Super League format, you don't get the magic of that night in Paris, Rashford. You don't get the magic of the comeback, Liverpool versus Barcelona, the corner taken quickly, Origi. You don't get that. You don't. It's not as special. It's just a normal game in this normal league full of elite clubs, and I say elite in air quotes because they're not elite.
When the leagues form itself, you're going to get the so-called lesser of like the great teams, and then that's essentially gonna be like your lesser teams in the Champions League.
So an answer, and genuinely, just to enlighten me, because maybe I'm getting it wrong, but like, so there is no rejection. Hear me. There's no relegation in this Super League.
With the 15 founders, I'm not too sure what the deal is with the 5 annual participants. That's a bit confusing. Like,
I don't know, man. I just think it's so needlessly confusing in a time that has already been so confusing and polarizing with COVID. I just
find it funny how it seems like a group of like 4 or 5 guys have set up and like made a website, made a Twitter account, and got these big clubs to sign up. It's like
it's like something, you know, we could do.
Did you see their Twitter? I think their Twitter at is like TSL comms.
Oh man, I just think that it's destroyed. And I know we need to wrap up here soon, but I just think that it's really taking the soul and the joy from a game of football, and especially when it comes to European football. United don't qualify for the Champions League every year, and that's why it's so magical and actually so heartbreaking. You know, like this year when we bowed out from it, but it's so magical to know that Ollie, I think, is creating something here at United, something that could work towards a European title in years to come, right? But I think that this idea of this league is going to take that magic from us and take what we've been rebuilding, and it's going to stick it in the bin, because this is not going to mean half as much. A good title and something to win and something to aspire for has to have a history. And you know, however many years that the Champions League has been with us, it means so much, and that's why it's the pinnacle of football. It's because of its rich history, because of so many teams have won it, and you want to be in with the big dogs and the big teams. It's just a get out of jail free card for so many teams to just compete at that level and fight for this trophy that they've made up, and just be like, we'll compete for this one instead. Sure, we'll boycott the Champions League. No one cares about that. That's completely false, because everyone cares about the Champions League, and some people do care about the Europa League. You know, it's taken the heart out of this European football that we all know and love, and it's making it into something and manufacturing it into something that puts more money in owners' pockets. That is all it is. And that's why I'm so heartbroken with this news, and that really it's tearing the soul away from what we all know and love about football and the beautiful game.
Well said, Ross.
At the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, me looking forward to what's coming up, I'm more excited about the Championship playoffs to see who gets promoted to the Premier League than I am about this European Super League, because I want to see more who's going to be in the Premier League next season more than, let's see if Man United can beat PSG. And
I get what James is saying though, Ben. I do get what he's saying, that there is a higher level of competition and that you'll get more views because it's always bigger teams. But can I be honest? Do you not think that novelty will eventually kind of run out and we'll just plateau back to the level that we're at now? Like, do you always think that these teams will have the pull that they do? You think that we'll always be able to be like, United and PSG's on tonight. That's the most important game of our season. And then you go, well, next week we have Barcelona. Well, next week we have Chelsea.
No, because the likes of PSG could be hypothetically be like your lesser game. So like the likes of your Arsenal at the start, your Tottenham, your Portos, your Leipzigs are gonna be considered like the shit teams in the league. And then you know how you said it would just plateau? I think what will happen, if the Super League is to be here for the next few years, you'll see a lot more movement with players. Like I'm talking like 4 superstars joining one team and leaving the same team to join another.
What do you like that, James?
4 maybe is exaggerating. I think maybe like 2 or 3,
Yeah, but no matter the number, do you like that? Do you want that?
I don't know, because I've not witnessed it yet. But I think.
Do you want to see it? Hypothetically, do you want to see that?
I think it could be interesting because it's a change.
Why? It's a change. You know, like Britain declaring war is a change.
Bringing it back to the war, Ross.
I'm being deadly serious. Coronavirus is a change.
Was a change.
You know, change is not always a good thing. So why? Like, why do you want to see that change? Are you? And I know. Sorry for our listeners, and I feel like we're going in circles here.
I feel more excited than I am like disappointed from the situation, to be honest. And
I don't mean to insult you again, but it's probably because you're an Arsenal fan. Like I genuinely mean that. Like you're bored of seeing Arsenal struggle against the likes of Leicester and West Ham and these
No, what? No, because if anything, it could be the opposite. Because we just get 10 straight losses in a row in the Super League. How's that going to be fun?
But I mean, that's man. And see the idea of not ever getting relegated. Imagine that, Imagine Arsenal always at the bottom of the Super League, always at the bottom of the table. So picture this then, James. Right? So picture the scene. Right? Arsenal barely ever win in this Super League, and they're always creeping up down the bottom. And this Super League runs for 5 years, and you have never gotten above 10th. Do you not get bored of that? Or does that entertain
becomes the
you?
new process, no? Well, in the league, the challenge is, for example, Arsenal trying to break into the top 4, right? Well, in the Super League, if we're always 10th, then the challenge for us would then be trying to break into the top 6.
Yeah, but the difference is that, like, the equivalent within the Premier League would be that if you were so bad that you were down around the bottom, you'd get relegated, and you wouldn't get as much money. But the difference is with the Super League.
No. It's not. Don't get me wrong. The Super League isn't perfect. It's far, far, far from perfect.
The Super League. If you look up in the dictionary what the Super League means, it's called imperfection. It's just got imperfection written all over it. It's just absolute corruption. It needs to be binned off. And I'm very lucky that, and I love the fact that I support a second team, which is Bayer Leverkusen. Absolutely love those guys. And I've said before that I am not ruling out boycotting my club if this is the way that we need to, if this is the way we're going to continue. I mean, I would never rule that out, because I just think that the direction that we're heading in, all about money, not really about football, and it's just not what I signed up for and not why I watch football. And to be honest, James, I don't really know why you would want to watch that as your source of football. I really do. I don't understand it.
Do you know what I find funny about this whole thing though? Is that the whole thing about idea of the UEFA and FIFA, they're so unethical, they're so corrupt. We need something new, and then this new thing is even more corrupt and even more unethical, and it's literally worse than UEFA. Like, it's actually hilarious that they're like, I think we need a new format. I think we need something new to make it more exciting, and it's going to be less corrupt and stuff. And then they literally just come out with this new thing that's the most corrupt thing I've seen in football for my whole time being alive.
It's corrupt, but I don't like, as an Arsenal fan, like witnessing like bloody Abramovich money come into Chelsea. Arsenal built their stadium, etc., operated under financial fair play rules, planned for the next decades under financial fair play rules, and then all of a sudden your likes of PSG and Man City and Chelsea get a come with money and essentially ruin our plans, our strategic plans for the next decades, because for some reason UEFA allow these teams to not follow financial fair play rules or make adjustments specifically for them. Well, that ruined it for Arsenal.
Yeah, but then you're looking at, like we said before, like West Ham and Leicester trying to break into top 4 to play these big teams to get that more money, so then they can maybe improve their facilities and get better players. But then now that's just been ripped apart from them, so their potential plans for the next even 5 years has just been destroyed within 24 hours. Do you not get that?
No, it is selfish to like the Super League. But at the same time, I'm like, UEFA, go fuck yourself. Yeah.
But would you not be more annoyed at Florentino Perez for doing this, just thinking that it's gonna work, and like I've said, like,
actually, I don't think Perez is corrupt. The Super League isn't corrupt. It's not corrupt. The UEFA is not corrupt. Just because it's there to make money doesn't mean it's corrupt. Corrupt means actually like breaking the regulations and bending the laws to suit a different club, which is what UEFA have done for the likes of PSG with financial fair play. What Perez has come up with here, what the idea that he's generated is completely acceptable.
No, this is bending the rules. This is like favouring a certain number of clubs. This is just doing it for this 15 yearly group of clubs, and these 5.
Yeah, but he's come to you and said if you want to accept, you can. If you don't, then
but
don't.
To me, this is more corrupt than UEFA, because you're saying how like UEFA bending the rules.
It's not ethical. It's certainly not ethical, but it's not corrupt.
How is it not corrupt? Because you're talking about how corruption is when like you're bending the rules and you're favouring clubs. Coming to the Big Six in England and telling them, oh, you're going to have to leave the UEFA competitions.
So yeah, in response to that, James, do you think Leicester were approached for this Super League in the same way we were? Do you think West Ham were approached in the same way we were? Do you think any other of the 14 teams below us, do you think they were approached in the same way as the Big Six?
Who knows? Maybe it just wasn't for Bielsa at Leeds United. I'm only kidding. But the point is, if the likes of Tottenham and Chelsea didn't accept, so if you were a top 6 club, what the hell would you do?
I wouldn't. I've told you that in this podcast. I mean, listen, I know that I'm standing out here in my moral high horse. I get all that I'm able to say this as a Man United fan. I can only speak as me. I can't speak as Ed Woodward or Joel Glazer. I can't speak for these lads. But all I'm saying is, you can't say that the Super League isn't corrupt. You can't say that it's entirely fair what they are doing here. And I think that's completely false. But I mean, I know we'll agree to disagree, and that's absolutely fine. It's great to have the discussion about it. But ultimately, I just think that it's ridiculous that we are being forced into something that no one wants. James, can you name me a fan other than yourself that wants the Super League?
No, I've not seen any.
Do you not think that's a wee bit of a coincidence, no? I would. Do you know what, Ben? I could just sit and imagine seeing Florentino Perez and Ed Woodward and all, and then James just sitting in the audience and in a lonely auditorium, just being like, "Yes, love you, Perez, man. Love this. Up the Super League." You know, genuinely, like that's it's absolutely mental. And I just think it's ultimately a disgrace. I know we have to wrap up now. But in conclusion. And the listeners are probably tired of hearing my opinion on it, but I'm just going to round it off one last time. Just a wee mini rant, if that's okay with you two.
Absolutely.
I ultimately think COVID-19 has brought us so many challenges, and so many people have lost their jobs, have lost loved ones, and have been affected so drastically. Football has been one of the crutches for so many, emotionally, and has a stabilizing effect on those who watch. I believe that what these corrupt owners are doing with this corrupt Super League is tearing the heart out of why we watch football at all. And I just think that the creation of this Super League is going to destroy football as we know it, and it will be an entirely different game. You're absolutely right, this is change, but I think it's change for the worse. This is not going to work. This will lead to more corruption, and you can't fight corruption with more corruption. Nothing will get done, and nothing will be done because of that. So to me, it's just power-hungry, money-hungry owners doing what they do best, putting money first and football second.
Just again, lastly, contrary to what you said about loved ones and the pandemic, etc., losing loved ones, there'll be like an Arsenal fan on their deathbed right now who get to watch their team play against Real Madrid one last time.
You see, you can't really argue with that. I mean, that's a very sad point, and that's grand. But objectively, not looking at the poor soul who's on their deathbed, do they deserve to be facing the top clubs? Absolutely not, because they are a tin pot club who I don't even know why they're in the Big Six. I mean, you had one season where you were undefeated. That is your history.
We're the third biggest club in England.
Mate, your history is having one season where you were undefeated.
How can you have a go at Arsenal for being considered top six club when Tottenham are?
Hey, I'm not even arguing with Tottenham. I mean, you have a right to be in the top Big Six more than them, arguably, because you actually have won titles. That's fair enough. Very proud of you, love it. But at the same time, you're not, like, you haven't played like a Big Six club this season. You're absolute mid-table mentality, and for you to get a get out of jail free card to be able to play Bayern Munich and all these big teams when Leicester deserve it more, when West Ham deserve it more. Look, it's just ultimate.
The Super League is selfish. The Super League is selfish, right? Today's episode has been a very interesting discussion. Look, if what Super League considered were the top 6 teams to be invited to the Super League were like United, City, Chelsea, Liverpool, Tottenham and Leicester, and then Arsenal got left out, would I be pissed? Of course I would.
I wouldn't. But this is the thing with me. I'd rather not be in it. I would genuinely rather be out of it, be able to play within the Champions League and miss out on all those big games. I genuinely mean that. Because I do not want to associate myself with this absolute corruption. And
so knowing that other founding members and other clubs stay in the Super League, and then all of a sudden United announced that they have now decided to opt out, and they were the only team to do so. But then all the other big clubs are banned from UEFA and banned from their domestic leagues. Would you be happy with that?
Well, would I be happy about all other clubs getting banned? No, because that's taken away my competition. But would I be happy that United aren't banned? Yes, absolutely. And would I be happy that we'd actually get to play in a league that is as we know it, and that is, and I don't see the need for this change, just playing the way we normally play and in the same league? Absolutely, 100%.
And then playing like Malaga in the Champions League final.
United can be the top club we already are the best club in the world, but just establish ourselves as the best club in the world again. It's obviously not the preferred option, James, but would I take it? Absolutely. You're asking me here, would I rather all clubs be banned or all clubs be banned except United? I mean, I think that's a bit of an obvious choice, don't you think?
No, I see where you're coming from. That you'd be happy with that decision if United decided
we shouldn't have had to talk about this in our podcast today. This subject matter has been born and bred through absolute corruption and greed of owners from our clubs and from others, and ultimately it just shows you that money talks, and that it's money first and football second, and it's just a disgrace.
Yeah, well, this is the time for. Even though it's not in a good taste, but this is the time for all fans from every club to come together to boycott this and to get this stopped, because as a few managers have said, and I know it's around on Old Trafford at the moment with Sir Matt Budsby saying that football without the fans is nothing, and no fan that I know James is kind of likes the idea of it, but maybe not this product itself, but most fans around the world or around Europe for these clubs do not want this competition to happen, so they'll just lose support for this competition. I think mental health could be a big factor coming from this, with potential clubs being ruined with this competition. Some fans who grew up loving the game, thinking it's just been ripped from them. Like, the mental health aspect from this could be huge, and that will be very devastating to see if suicidal rates do go up just from this.
That's such an important thing that it probably won't get as.
I wonder who they're gonna get to commentate the games, because a lot of the pundits in that are against the idea.
Well, listen, I think that's a discussion for another day. We'd just be speculating at this point. But going back to what Ben said there about mental health, that is a really important issue that I think we need to pay more attention to and pay heed to. And I just think that this isn't doing anything to help anyone other than the owners. Like, it's, as you said yourself rightly, James, it is very selfish, and puts their needs before anyone else's, which I think is how United have been run since the Glazers came in. And it's just now that we're seeing this spread all over the news about how much, like, all fans can see it now. Like, fans before might not have noticed it as much, and not, casual fans might not have paid much attention to it, but definitely, you will find out how greedy and how poorly run this football club is. Can't really speak for Arsenal, but it's definitely United.
Do you, just on a final note, do you think the boycotting's going to work?
No,
I think the first Super League game is gonna have like the most viewership.
Well, your general question about will boycotting each club work? No. Like, there will be fans of each club that will support them during the Super League, and they will get the money, and it will continue. But that's why I'm sad, because it won't work. All I can do is hope and pray that there's something that we can do, organise a compromise, and get the Premier League and have it function in the way it always has been. You know, and I just hope that can continue. But
It's the little things like, you know, how you can pay extra for your shirts to get like a Premier League badge on it. It's not going to be like a Super League badge.
I don't even... It's so confusing, but at the same time, I'm not surprised at the owners' greed and ultimate selfishness, and just hope we can rectify it in some way.
Okay, on that note, that has been us on the Football Draft podcast. It's mainly talking about the Super League. Unfortunately,
yeah, me and Ben were right. James was wrong.
If I remember, I'll cut that out. I'm only kidding. But yeah, to any of those that were expecting maybe something a bit different or going over the games, we feel like this was too important to not dedicate an episode to it. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. And
just always be sure to look out for new episodes on our usual platforms of YouTube, Spotify, and iTunes. And we'll make sure to have good discussions like this again. But next week, I think we'll be able to cover the games. But like we said, this is too important that we just couldn't miss this opportunity to talk about this. But yeah, thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.
See you guys later.